4 jobs, several creative projects, several responsibilities, and several commitments. Is it possible to do all of that? No. I'm just playing. No, but for real, it is possible. It may not be possible to balance all of it, but rather you would have to divide the amount of time more efficiently. So balance, in my opinion, means that everything gets an equal amount of time. And that's not actually what we want, because that's not actually efficient. I think it's worth it to note before I start this video or get into the video that just because I had 4 jobs and other commitments that I was it's not necessarily mean that I made more income. It just means that I was getting income from different sources at the time. Now I have found a way to work for less hours and gain more income, which is a different video for a different day. This is going to be a combination of the things that worked for me and what I experienced, plus other methods of time management. 1. Personalized scheduling. For me, the foremost tool that I used is Google Calendar. No, I am not being sponsored by Google Calendar, but I love it because 1, you can color code everything. And mind you could probably do this with other software, but this is what I do, and this is the easiest, and it's free. Okay, here I'm going to insert almost like not really a tutorial, but a visual aid of how that looks. But I start by prioritizing my most important task, and by important I do not mean the most urgent, or I will also insert an illustration of what important versus urgent looks like here. I like to color code my different tasks, and so that makes it a lot easier visually to see how much time you're allotting to one task or to one goal, right? And if that doesn't fit your priority list, then that has to be changed. So this is an example of what that might look like. Ideally, I would like to spend that much time on music on my schedule, but realistically, that's not always what happens. The purple and lavender boxes are creative projects, including writing. We have work that I'm employed for, not something that I employ myself for. Devotion would be my daily prayer time and scripture reading time, and that's not the only time that I devote to that, but that is just the time that I want to make sure I set aside in the mornings for, and throughout the day. In these little spaces, I can insert them as needed. The ones in blue are kind of things that just come up. I even sometimes schedule a nap because I know my body and I know what it needs after a certain amount of work during the week. And so blue things are something that's important, but not always urgent, so I can move it. Same thing with language exchange sessions or meetings or another type of job right here. Photo edits are in the creative category, but it is a form of active income, so I have changed the color to represent that. What I love about this is that you can sync this calendar to all your devices, your phone or your tablet, so you can get a reminder of what's coming up next. Obviously, you're not going to be able to stick to everything all the time, but you can move things around as needed, and you can color code them as needed. Boom. Okay, we want that green. Make bigger or longer, and make smaller, and all the pretty stuff. Some people prefer to use their phone, notepads, and write things down exactly when they think of them. I do not use my phone often, and when I do, it is just so that I can remember to write it in my journal, which brings me to journals or notebooks. It could be a regular line notebook, like something that I have right here, in which, for people who are a little more free-spirited and they just kind of like to write all over the paper the things that they have to get done that day and cross them out, then they can do that. If not, a journal with, let me see, does that have a calendar? Hold on. A journal that's actually a planner, right, that anyone can kind of get at the dollar store, that gives you the days of the week and when you need to get things by, works as well. A literal calendar can work for other people who need kind of a bigger picture of what they need to get done. If you are someone who procrastinates all the time, then, and that's just part of your personality, then it might be daunting to have a journal in which you write down what you do at 3 o'clock and at 4:30. It doesn't make sense because you know yourself and you know that you're not going to get it done by 4:30 because you procrastinate. But what might be a little bit more helpful is if you write exactly what needs to get done by the end of the week, or what needs to get done by Wednesday, and then what needs to get done by Saturday. And then it gives you a little clearer picture. It makes you feel like you have more time, even if you probably don't necessarily have more time. That could be neither here nor there, but whatever gets you to the place where you need to go. You can also organize things by day. Someone that I know likes to order their day by, the hour. Some people by the minute. If I had a choice, I would do that. I would do it. But the reality is, especially as an artist and an independent contractor, I work during the week and sometimes things come up. Maybe I'm called to substitute a class, cover a class, or take on some extra hours, and I was not planning for that. So then that would ruin my whole plan for the week. So perhaps on the weekend or on breaks, because sometimes when school is out, I'm out of work at times. Then during those breaks where there is not already a structure set out for me, I make that day by day, that hour by hour structure. If there is a structure set out from Monday through Friday, then I write how many things I can get done in a day. If I need to send an important email, some emails take a lot of energy, if you know what I mean, then I would write that down, send an email, and then I would write something that probably has like more of a quantitative result. I could also put study language for 30 minutes, or finish writing a song. I don't know. As long as those are achievable goals, which brings me to our next point. Achievable goals or objectives are really a psychological game. Okay, if I think I can get 5 things done in the day, then I'm going to write down 3 on my to-do list. If you think you can get 3 things done in the day, you write down 1. Why? Because if I write down 5 things and I don't get that thing done or all of those things done, suddenly I'm a failure and I have to keep pushing tasks back, even though they probably shouldn't have been on my list in the first place, especially if I know myself. 1 thing to get done for the day sounds like so little, but if you can achieve that and then start on the next task, well, now what has happened? You have overachieved. You feel proud of yourself and it motivates yourself to keep doing it. But if you keep failing, you're obviously going to be unmotivated. Be realistic with yourself. Never overestimate your fortitude, your mental fortitude, your physical fortitude, your whatever fortitude. If you're goal-oriented, this won't be hard for you. If you are not, and you are like result oriented, you like that qualitative stuff, then you can give yourself incentives. Anyone can, but it would help more for an idealist, right? You can give yourself incentives and rewards. For example, if you're not someone who like goes and buys Starbucks drinks every day, but you like them, you could say, I get to buy myself 1 Starbucks drink if I finish everything on this list. And if you don't, you need to have the discipline, right, and the self-control to be able to say, no, I didn't finish what I need to do. Reward yourself when you do what you're supposed to do. Not every single time, but as you get past this is anything in life, as you get past different like marks and past objective, you need to there has to be something for it, or else you feel like you're working for nothing. And the subject of self-control and motivation brings me to the topic of accountability partners. Yes, what's an accountability partner? A person who holds you accountable. That's it. It is what it sounds. They make sure that you're doing what you're supposed to do, and you make sure that they're doing what they're supposed to do. For example, if you're a university student and you know that you have to study for an upcoming test, right? But you know that if you do it with your good friend, you guys are going to end up talking the whole time. Well, that person probably can't be your accountability partner in terms of goal setting, right? So you need to find the person in your class that maybe I don't want to say you don't get along with, but you're not like really good friends, so that you can keep to business. For me, I have specifically a creative group that was formed. It didn't really start like on purpose, but I have an older lady friend that I get together with, and we were in a play together, And she said, hey, what if we just got some creatives together and we told each other about our projects and made goals on like how to finish them? And so I was like, that is a wonderful idea. And we did, and we have been meeting every month to make sure that we finish those goals. And if not, what were our setbacks? What was the reason that we couldn't finish them or just didn't finish them? Do we need something like emotionally? What push or incentive do we need to go further? Sometimes you really just need somebody else, a community, which is extremely important, motivating you. Lastly, your environment. Environment matters so much. So I've already given the example of the university student. Imagine that you are studying inside your room where you have a lot of distractions. Well, you're gonna get distracted, okay? I like to study outside in nature. I'm in Florida, so thank God, like the winter is milder here. And so it's almost always warm outside. Mosquitoes are a thing. But for example, I like to do picnics on days where it's not so bad. Picnics by myself. Or you could do a picnic with one other person, but make sure that they are not the distraction. Libraries. Public libraries are a thing. Some people have forgotten they existed. Libraries are a resource for you. They're supposed to be quiet for a reason, so you can focus. Sometimes they're very cold, which makes you uncomfortable. And sometimes when you're uncomfortable, it makes you finish your work faster so you can get out of there. Libraries or offices, any like public space outside can really make you calm and give you a calming air. If you live in this city, that can vary. Sometimes there are green spaces, sometimes there aren't. Sometimes you need to go in the basement. If that's what you have to do, then that's what you have to do. You need to set your phone on do not disturb. If that's what you have to do, then that's what you have to do. But you want to compartmentalize that time. I know that for me, if I'm in my room, I can get certain things done, like I can get creative things done. But once there are things that I have to get done, I don't want to do them because my bed is right beside me. The last thing, rest. Over the COVID-19 pandemic, we have learned through studies that a 4-day work week is more productive than a 5-day work week because people's minds feel rested enough that they can be creative enough and turn out more material and more ideas and all this stuff during a 4-day week. Okay, there's something to that. Resting when it's appropriate, like finishing those goals and saying, hey, maybe one of your incentives is I'm going to take a nap. For people who are physically like fatigued, especially, I found when I had an issue with that recently that I would take 1 hour nap in the afternoon every day, and suddenly like I was so much more productive. It sounds crazy to some people, but I know that in other cultures, like naps are kind of just part of daily living, and there's something to that, to rest. Now, this is more addressed to people of faith because I'm a person of faith. I'm a Christian. And when it comes to time management, God is like first on that list, first on that priority. If I need to have my devotional time and my prayer time, it needs to come before other things. I make sure that I've got to pray a little bit in the morning, but then also leave some time, 30 minutes or an hour or so. Sometimes it might go over, whatever. That God has given me what I need to do within that time to strengthen me to do the rest of the tasks for the day. My advice is to make sure that that is carved out in your schedule as well. That doesn't mean that if you put 30 minutes for God, you only give 30 minutes to God. It is only to say to make sure that everything else doesn't like become more of a priority than your relationship with God, because God gives you wisdom on how to do time management. For example, I was outside because that's my environment and was planning certain things, and I didn't know how I was going to get them done. And God spoke to me in that moment, and he said, listen, what are the important things to you that you have to get done over time? And I listed them. And he said, what are the urgent things that you must get done? And I listed them. And he said, do the important things to you first, then do the urgent things like taxes or something like that. And that's because it was a game changer. Because for me, taxes is something I have to do or else I'm going to go to jail, right? So I will do them. I will do them. So why spend all my energy or expend all my energy on my taxes when I could be expending that on writing a book or writing a song or doing something else, some other project? and then using my leftover energy for taxes. Suddenly, I could do my taxes in 30 minutes instead of 3 hours, and I used the 3 hours to write my song or to work on my book or to work on whatever project. And I would suggest that for anything else if you have stayed this far and watching. If anything in this video was helpful to you, please do consider subscribing or not. Anyway, thanks you guys for watching. Okay, now go do your work and stop procrastinating.